and talking about integrated care.
Yes, it was the World Congress on Integrated Care, which was around healthcare predominantly. But the basic principle is about cutting across the silos. You know, each government department does their own thing. You've got justice doing their thing, and health, education, social welfare, all doing their own thing. And integrated care is about cutting across that, because when a person becomes unwell, it's not just their health, it's all the other things that lead to that, the social determinants of health. It might be they're ill because they're in poor housing, or they're low income so they're not have good nutrition. So if you just put them in hospital, make them well, and then send them back to the environment that made them sick in the first place, they're only going to come back again. So it's around trying to have more integrated models where we're looking at having care, a more holistic approach to care for the person that deals with all the issues they have, whether they be health, they've got poor education, they're mixed up in the justice system or family courts, they might have poor housing, low income, all those issues that impact on their well-being. So if you solve all those issues, you actually make them a better, healthier person, and you don't have them coming into the health system so often. So this was really a conference about looking at different ways of doing that, looking at case studies from around the world, and you know, how is it being achieved? What can we do to make people's well-being a whole lot better? And it was really interesting.
Well, the big question mark, of course, is what can you do?
Well, I think it's around building more holistic models and about communities developing responses that are more effective. You know, we look at things like adverse events. We see what's happening in Kaikoura at the moment, and even in Christchurch, how everyone mucked in together. The community didn't matter where they were from, what discipline they were in, which government department, they all mucked in, solved the problem. And it's the same principle here, but doing it outside of an adverse event, of course. You know, having everyone work together to solve the problems that are impacting on everyone. And interestingly, Bill English came to speak at the closing ceremony, and he talked very much about changes in the way government is going to be funding things in the future. He said, you know, we can spend $1 million on a program, and then next year they come and say, oh, we need $1 million. But we spent that and it didn't achieve what you said it would do, so what are we going to do that's different? And so it's not about just doing what we've always done, because you know, you get what you've always got, as the saying goes.
Exactly.
So it's about looking at new models, new ways of doing things, new ways of working together, and new ways of funding that, so that you have a better outcome for everyone. And so it's around government departments working together more and cutting across the lines instead of working in their own individual silos, as we call it. In the rural sector, that's a little more challenging because we don't have all those services available. But there are examples where, I think they call it a heartland approach, where you have a clinic where you do have someone from WINS and you do have someone from justice and you do have someone from health and education, all within the same little cluster working together. And you know, those things are going to be really good.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, a subject that most people will want to avoid, but Christmas time is family violence time.
It is, unfortunately, and it's stresses and financial pressures and all that, you know, families that come together that don't agree for the rest of the year, but suddenly they're thrust together for Christmas because we have to have Christmas at family. You know.
Grandma's place.
Yeah, exactly. And they do create pressures, and we do see more family violence at that time. And of course, we've just had this last week White Ribbon Day, highlighting family violence, and the UN Women with their 16 days of activism. You know, Orange the World, everything in orange to highlight the issues around family violence. And of course this also impacts on that integrated care. You know, if you deal with family violence, you deal with a lot of health and well-being things. So it's really important that we look for the triggers and we come up with alternative ways of dealing with those stresses rather than just lashing out. And you know, New Zealand does have an appalling record. We have
Yes, we do. We do.
Our police are saying they're attending 40% of their work is family violence, and they're attending events every 5 minutes of the day. And for a small country, that's actually quite horrendously high, and despite all the messages. So we need to
For an educated country?
For an educated country, that is really bad. So we need to keep getting that message out there, and also working with people to find alternative ways of dealing with the pressures when they come up. So they've got other strategies rather than lashing out.
Because once again, Christmas time, it's financial stress, it's family stress, as you say,
yes.
And you know, invariably things are going wrong around Christmas.
Well, that's right, they do, and then that leads on through into January when you're getting kids ready for school, and you've got the costs, you're straight after Christmas, the costs of uniforms and stationery and everything. So it's, you know, a couple of months of very high stress, hot weather where everyone's feeling hot and bothered.
Yep,
so it's about working to find much better ways and taking breaks out and relieving stress.
Power to you, Alba, and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and to you.